Hello, everybody. Welcome to Physics 223 for the summer of 2024. I'm Robin Wild, and I just want to make a quick video here that introduces you to the class, talks about the syllabus a little bit, and about the structure of the class. This course is a little bit different for sure than the regular term in that it's set up as a hybrid sort of thing where I won't be actually lecturing in person at all. I will be posting videos as lectures, and you'll see those on Canvas. The quizzes also will be on Canvas, and then there will be homework that is through an external sort of textbook publisher called Wiley Plus. And so I wanted to talk about all that. So of course, most of the stuff you will get through Canvas here. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and uh, I'm going to go ahead and just go to the Physics 223 Canvas homepage here. And yours will look a little different because I am not in the student view, but I wanted to point out a couple things. One thing that you might have seen already is announcements. So there is an announcement up here already about how to register for Wiley Plus. And let me open this real quick. Attached to this are some registration instructions. So this is one thing you'll have to do. You'll have to go and register for this outside service, and it will give you access to the textbook as well as all of the homework assignments that you have. One thing that you may end up having to do is to pay a little money for access for this activation code, but try to follow those steps and get as registered as quickly as you can, and let me know if you have questions about that. So follow those instructions, and then going back here, I wanted to point out that in this announcement, it says that the lab will be done on campus in Seaman 142 from 9 to 12, but that's on Thursdays. I forgot to put the Thursday in there. I think it's in the syllabus, which we'll see here in a moment. Let's see. I'll also be holding some office hours via Zoom, but I'm waiting to pick a time for that until I get to talk to some people and see when a good time would be. So let me first of all go to the syllabus over here tab in Canvas and just look at the syllabus real quick. So first of all, you'll see some contact information for me and the Zoom link. If I do any office hours or meetings through Zoom, that's where you'll go. The textbook again is embedded in Wiley Plus, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. So that's why it's important to get registered as well as for access to the homework assignments. You'll see some of the learning objectives here. We can talk about those as we go. One of the big aspects of this course or any physics course is problem solving. And so this is just a little description of a problem solving strategy that you can try with some of the problems. It's good to think in terms of steps when you solve problems, right? And so these steps are identify, and that's where you're going to really understand the problem. Make sure you read the problem and understand what it's asking and what you're given. A common mistake that I see is that people will start to plug in numbers to equations without doing this process, and then it just leads to more confusion. One of the important things too is to make a plan. Once you know what the problem is asking, choose equations, concepts that fit what is being asked. Draw a picture. And then you might estimate the results, which is a tricky thing to do without a lot of experience, but it's a way of, seeing if you're on the right track as you go through the problem. Then you'll execute the plan, do the math, right? Solve the problem, plug numbers into the equations. And another important part is to evaluate your answer. Think about it, right? Sometimes it's hard to come up with whether or not you're completely correct, but a lot of times just by looking at the number or thinking about the units, you can see if you have some confidence that you're on the right track. So we'll talk about that maybe as we go along throughout the rest of the course. I wanted to go now to the grading. So as far as the grading goes, there will be 2 exams, and they are worth 10% each. And for right now, I'm planning on doing that during the lab time on the 4th and 8th week. This course is shorter than the regular terms in that it's only 8 weeks long. So we have to kind of go a little more quickly and kind of cram stuff in a little bit more. But those exams will be the 4th and 8th week, and I'll talk about those more as we get closer. Again, the lab is every Thursday at 9 a.m. It'll be worth 15% of the grade. Now, the lab will not take typically all 3 hours, but I'm hoping to leave some time after the lab for you to ask questions, maybe to work on homework, have some contact with me so you can get any issues resolved or any questions answered. Homework is a big chunk of the grade, and again, it's through this Wiley Plus site, which I'll talk about more in a moment. Quizzes, there will be reading quizzes. Now, these are, more conceptual based questions. There'll be multiple choice, and they will be through the Canvas quizzes. They won't be through Wiley Plus. I will actually make those through Canvas. But again, we'll try. I can talk about those more in the future. Right now, I just want to talk about the structure of the course. But they will be worth 20%. And typically, you'll have one of those a week. There may be a couple weeks where there are two. So again, here's just a little brief description of what I just talked about. So now let's go to the kind of tentative schedule, and all this schedule is a brief list of the topics. As far as the textbook goes, we're going to start in chapter 15, and we're going to be talking about oscillations, or what's called simple harmonic motion. And then we'll go to waves, which has a lot of the same concepts, just in a different situation. And after we get through with waves, we'll talk about sound. And the nature of sound, of course, is that it is a sound wave. It turns out light is also a wave. It's an electromagnetic wave. And so we will get to that hopefully in week 3. And then we'll go on to more optics related material, looking at images, and then some other wave phenomena, interference and diffraction, which are important for light, and in fact, sound waves as well. And near the end of the course, we will talk about some more modern physics. We'll talk about photons and matter waves, and some basic topics of quantum physics. At the very end, if we have time, we might talk about some other modern physics topics, maybe nuclear physics or something like that. Again, this is a shorter class than the regular term, so it may take a little bit, go a little bit faster. We may not have enough time to really get into those more modern topics. The other thing I want to talk about, of course, is how to access Wiley Plus. Now, you can always go to this tab, Wiley Course Resources. And again, it will look a little different for you because this is the instructor view. But what this should do is connect you to the Wiley Plus site. And you'll see there, I have instructor resources, but you should have course resources and maybe some practice questions that you could play with. One of the main things is if you hit this launch button, it will launch the textbook. So you have an e-textbook embedded in the site. And we're going to start again in chapter 15, right? But if you go to the table of contents, you can find all of the chapters that we need for the book. So going to chapter 15, that is where we are going to start. And I'm going to let you read here. I will probably post hopefully maybe a list of the pages or the sections that are most important. One thing I do want to point out that's good to always look at are example problems. There's a lot of stuff here that maybe could be condensed. And so we'll see in a moment that I made some videos that hopefully will condense some of this stuff a little bit, but it is good to try and read and, especially look at example problems. So, or sample problems as they call them. For example, here's the first one, this penguin jumping off of a springboard. Now, one thing to notice here too is that, physics is always building upon itself. So it's talking about things like torque and moment of inertia in some of these problems. So you will see problems in the homework that bring into other concepts like that we've learned in the past, right? Newton's laws, conservation of energy, conservation of momentum, things like that. So just be aware as you're going through the problems that you may use stuff from Physics 221 and Physics 222. So we won't go into that much right now. I just really wanted to show you where to find the textbook and how to navigate it a little bit. So just going back to the Canvas site, I want to talk about the homework assignments. First of all, I do have a tab here, assignments. So if you go here, you can see all of the assignments. Now, there's some quizzes here. I'm working on the quiz. It has not been published yet, so you will not see it. It's just in my instructor tab. But right now there is a homework assignment, and I have not assigned a due date yet, but it's likely it will be by the end of this week or the weekend. So it's important to start trying those problems. We'll look at that here in a moment. We don't need this roll call attendance. I will get rid of that. But the other place that you can find the homework assignments and basically all the other material that I'm going to post for the class is in modules. So I'm going to click on the modules tab, and you should see this oscillations module. Again, you can't see the quiz yet because I have not posted it, but you'll see some videos, and these will connect to YouTube videos. I put the videos on YouTube because it seems a little easier for most people to access them that way. But you will see the homework assignment here. And so I'll be posting the quiz and maybe other materials. Once we get done with chapter 15, I will post a chapter 16 module on waves. But let's take a look at the homework real quick. So I can just click the homework tab, and it's gonna take me to the Wiley Plus site. And again, this is after you've registered and followed those instructions in my first announcement. But once you get here, again, this will look a little different because it's the instructor view, but you'll see a list of the problems that you can do, and you can see they are numbered because they come directly from the textbook. A couple things about the problems. For example, if I click on this first one, you will see the question, and what'll happen is your numbers will be different from everyone else. It'll be the same problem, but maybe you won't have 9.8 meters here. You might have some other value. So all these answers are answers just that are unique to my problem, right? But another thing I did want to mention is you can use scientific notation in Wiley Plus, but it's a little different. So for example, if you want to write 5 times 10 to the 6 in Wiley Plus, when you enter it into your answers, you would write 5e6. Now the e can be a small e or a capital E, but it's gonna represent the times 10, right? So 5e6 is the same as 5 times 10 to the 6. And another thing to notice here, or to mention, is that sometimes the problems, there's a tolerance level, which I typically set to 4%. So if you put a number in that was 4% off of the correct answer, it will mark it as wrong. Now, every once in a while, due to rounding errors and things like that, you could actually have the right answer, but it's outside that 4%. So if you're feeling like you got the right answer, you can always reach out to me and ask me to take a look at it. The other last thing I just want to mention real quick is that when you do the homework, you will have 3 chances at each problem. So you can try it a couple times. And one other thing you'll notice is sometimes there will be hints. And you can actually also usually have a link that will go to the e-textbook directly to that section relevant to the problem. So try the problem a couple times, maybe take a look at the hints. But before you enter it the third time, if you're still stuck, I would suggest reaching out to me, either email or, or maybe during the lab, after the lab, you could talk to me, but reach out with a question at that point, because once you put your third answer in, that's your last chance. Okay, so hopefully you should be able to access this after you register. If you have any questions at all about this, let me know. Reach out to me, email me, and I'm trying to answer very quickly emails, so email me with any questions you have. So going back here, I think I've pretty much talked about all of the stuff that I wanted to mention. Again, keep an eye open for new modules, new assignments. And this Thursday, 9 to 12 will be the first lab. If you cannot make the labs or cannot, have trouble with stuff, maybe something came up, always let me know beforehand, okay? If you let me know a few days after the lab, I may not allow you to make up those points. Other than that, that's all I can think of to introduce the class at this point. But again, feel free to reach out to me anytime with questions. And I will continue posting the modules, and I will hopefully see you soon on Thursday.